Hey, writers! I have the privilege today to be joined with three of the Novel Resolution writers, and I'm so happy to introduce you to these writers because it has truly been inspiring for me to work with them and to see all the great work that they are doing and how hard they work and how consistently and diligently they write. And so I cannot wait to introduce them to you. But maybe if you ladies could just give us a little bit of an introduction and let us know what and who we're talking with today. So Carolyn, let's get started with you.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Watts, and I write young adult contemporary novels, teenage girls dealing with life.
Awesome. And LP Forrester.
I is writing my first novel. It's kind of in the science fiction, speculative fiction realm with some magical realism thrown in. And so this is the first time I've ever done anything like this. And so that's why I was really excited to share with Sarah with what I'm doing.
Excellent. And Susan.
Hi, I'm Susan Twiggs, and I'm writing a middle grade historical fiction novel in verse.
Awesome. So we've got a variety of writers here doing a variety of things across a variety of genres and markets, and I think that is just awesome. So you all kind of came to me in different sort of ways, but I am just so happy to have you in my life and in my community here. And so might I ask why you joined Novel Resolution? Let's start with Susan first this time.
I joined because I was introduced to Sarah through the Blueprint Challenge. And it was going to be her first year, and she worked with, as a book coach, worked with people who did children's literature. I needed someone who would help me be accountable. And Novel Resolution has helped me a great deal with that.
Yeah, you are one of our most faithful attendees to the write-on sessions that we do, and I know that you've gotten a lot of work done that way. How about LP? What brought you to Novel Resolution?
Well, I had been working on this novel for actually several years. It's been in my head and I just couldn't get anywhere. And I was kind of like reading craft books, and I would like go to a writer's conference or just kind of floundering around, and I came across the Blueprint stuff. And it was part of that when I think, I'm not sure, but you do another
Yeah.
session in the fall, and there was a couple of book coaches that were on your panels that I was interested in possibly working with. And so I said, well, it's for a week. I can listen to the videos and see if I like the folks. And then when you started talking about the whole idea of doing Novel Resolution, which was having kind of what I call group coaching, I guess, was
Yeah.
how I kind of looked at it over a course of a year, was reasonably priced. And I was still kind of floundering around. So I felt it would probably really help me just feel like more I was writing and not just kind of poking around at it. So that's why I signed up in January, and that's been the biggest impact in terms of actually making progress from where I started to where I am now. Is like night and day.
Well, thank you. That's excellent to hear. You've written a ton this past year for a truly intricate story, if you will. You got a lot of things going on in a good way, and I look forward to seeing how that's all going to work out. Carolyn, what brought you to Novel Resolution?
I met Sarah, you, in an earlier organization, a writing community, and when Sarah became a writing coach, a book coach, a certified book coach, I thought, oh, I want to keep track of her. And then she started this novel resolution group, and I joined in January of 2023. So last year was my second year with her, and I'm planning to sign up for my third year and just and just keep going. And yeah, so that's what got me interested.
Yeah. So you've all done the program, the lessons, the various aspects like the write-ons that we talked about, and we mentioned the group coaching, which I do think is probably the most accurate way to describe it. So what aspects of the program did you find most helpful as you were doing your work over the last year? Maybe let's start with LP this time.
I think, but for me, as a first time writer of writing fiction, that I never really had a good sense for how I write. You know, what am I productive at when I'm in the most productive? How do I keep going? I think the start of the year, I always felt like I needed this big block of time. If I didn't have like 3 or 4 hours set aside, that it wasn't even worth starting to write because I didn't want to be interrupted. And I think what I have learned, besides the craft elements of it, of just exploring, has been how I like to write and being able to say, okay, I have an hour. I can get more done in an hour than I realized I can get done. Because before I used to think, it's been taking forever. And then I look up and it's been, oh, it's only been an hour and I got like, 3 chapters figured out. So I think that has been between the constant, like just keeping up every week, something to do, make sure I'm reporting in and what's working on is help me understand how I write. Just getting things out of my head and into the computer. And that's one thing I didn't know how to do now.
Yeah, you bring up an excellent point because especially on the first book, but honestly, I think for any additional book, because each book presents a different set of challenges that a writer might have to adjust. But I think writers spend equally amounts of time figuring out how to write a book as they do how they best work, right? So not only are you figuring out the craft of writing, but you're figuring out how you as a writer and your personality and all of that comes into play and how you best work. So I think that's pretty interesting. How about you, Carolyn? What aspects of the program did you find most helpful?
I liked that the lessons and the recordings you shared were in small bite-sized pieces. So if I'm working on the middle, you might have 10 or 15 lessons, but they're only 5 to 15 minutes long. So it wasn't a huge hour-long video I had to watch, and it was enough to trigger some ideas, but it was very manageable. And I could watch 3, 5, 1, whatever, and then I could get into my writing, and it kind of set the pace for things. But it was bite-sized, manageable pieces that then I don't know, that worked out best for me. That's
Yeah.
what I liked about it.
I love hearing that because I'm a busy mom and there are times when I'm like, I'd really like to make progress on this course that I purchased, but like you said, it's like, oh my gosh, but I don't have 45 minutes to watch a lesson right now. And so some of that was motivated by my own preference for having bite-sized nuggets, but I'm glad to hear it was helpful for you as well. How about you, Sue? What have you found to be most helpful?
I think, again, this is kind of a bite-sized nugget too. You know, when you give me feedback on the pages, that's because when I was writing picture books, no one was looking, who had any knowledge was looking at what I was doing as I was doing it. So, you know, I could attend all kinds of webinars, and I did, but still, no one ever looked at my work. And your comments are, and the comments that we've had at group meetings when we've looked at some of my work, those have really helped me to have to change direction when I needed to, and to do some edits that weren't that complicated at the time, but after you've written an entire draft, can be a lengthy thing. So that's been really helpful. I get a lot out of setting goals on Monday, checking in on the next Sunday, because it helps me to have focus, and I need to have focus.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I want to
yeah,
say
please do.
something back to you, Sarah, about what Susan's saying is, I think that your input has been amazingly insightful. I really liked was that we could give you 3 or 4 pages of essentially an outline, and you zero right in on the problem. If there's, it's not like this is a general kind of description. It was several times where you would just say, yeah, right there. And it changed everything in the story. And so that I wanted to kind of add to what Susan was saying is that, your insights on things has been one of the key reasons I've been successful this year.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That makes me feel so good. I do think there's great value in getting feedback on our work, preferably informed feedback on our work. Sometimes working with critique partners and beta readers can be a real gamble, depending on how informed those people are when they're giving you their feedback. And yeah, I do think it provides tremendous value in terms of, I mean, I know myself, I recently started taking piano lessons with my college teacher again, and I achieved a certain level of proficiency on the piano. And but you go back to the college teacher and she's like, why are you holding your shoulders this way? Why are you putting your arm this way? Like, because I would not be able to see that of myself when I'm
Right.
sitting at the piano, and it takes a different set of eyes. And to be honest, a couple years ago, before I started seeing her, I was carrying a lot of tension in my arms, around my elbows in particular. She was like, "You're all locked up," and she helped me do like you're talking about, just pinpoint the right thing. And now it's like so much better, and I'm not encountering as much discomfort when I play. And so yes, I think this is all lovely. You all are part of our beautiful community too. I just love that everyone has been so supportive of one another this year, and just truly, you all have been top notch that way, rooting for each other and holding each other up. Were there any unexpected perks that you experienced, like things that, I mean, to some extent, you probably expected to learn something about writing a novel when you joined the program, but was there something that kind of caught you by surprise? What do you think, Carolyn?
I would say during the Q&A calls that we would have, and I was always too held back. I didn't ever ask questions, but I loved it when Sue was always really open about asking questions and getting feedback, not just from you, but from everybody. Like, we all contributed. And I know we've helped some of the other group just bouncing ideas around and coming up with different ideas. So I loved that. That was, we're a community, we can
Yeah.
all help each other.
Very
So,
cool. What
I
about
liked
you,
it.
LP? Any surprises?
I think the thing that really helped me was my story is really complex. There's a lot of pieces and a lot of parts. And you know me, I like to make sure I have it all laid out before I get into any of the details. And I learned to just, if I felt lost and frustrated and I felt like my story was falling apart, it happened enough times that it's like, okay, I've been here before, I can start over. I just keep going. It's like not a tragedy. And I think it's that weekly, just kind of ongoing, what are you trying to accomplish? It's not like you have to finish it all tomorrow. Just keep going. And I think that's one of the things that really surprised me out of it. It's just how comfortable I am when things seem to go sideways, that it's just normal. And I just keep going.
You and I share an affinity for planning ahead.
Yes. Yeah. Notebooks full.
That's right. How about you, Susan? Were there any surprises for you?
Well, this is the first novel that I've written, and I had a developmental edit from a well-known editor, and that was great. It was 40 pages long, but I wasn't sure what to do next. And so Sarah says, as a book coach, that one of her jobs is to tell you what to do next. And so this step by step, especially when I haven't done it before, the step by step of now you need to is very, very helpful. it's kind of setting a path, and that's been really helpful,
Awesome.
especially in
Yes.
revisions.
That is something that people aren't often clear on. A book coach really does help someone work through the process, whereas an editor, both are needed. I don't mean to make one sound better or worse than the other. An editor is like someone who will assess everything and give you extensive feedback, as you mentioned, but then kind of give you that feedback and send you on your way to fix it. And so that's one of the differences between the two. So, well, I want to be respectful of your time. Thank you so much already for these lovely comments. It's just been my great privilege to work with all of you. Is there anything else that anybody needs to say before we close out? Yes, go
Well,
for
I
it.
would like to say that Lee and Carolyn have been in it 2 years in a row, and I am signing up for a third.
Lucky third.
For
Me too.
however long it takes to finish this novel in.
Yeah.
So it's been very worthwhile, and the weekly, monthly, yearly thing
Mhm.
that I do, is so thank you.
You're very, very welcome. Anybody else? Are we good?
I just say I accomplished more this year than I had the 5 years before.
Hmm.
I mean, it felt like I was going someplace, and I have a story now. At the end, it's ready to start filling in the details. So never had any of that.
I
It's
love
been
that.
worth it.
The last 2 years, I was editing and revising books that I'd already written or novels I'd already written. I'm excited for this year where I'm going to take a fresh idea and start from the ground up. I feel like I've learned so much through this, and maybe those first two are my practice novels. I don't know if they could be saved, maybe, maybe not. But this one, I'm just really looking forward to tackling it from the beginning, all the planning stages, and then that build a great foundation and then moving forward on the writing. So
I love it. I love it. And maybe that's because I feel like that's where I am too. Like I'm so close to wrapping up one and getting ready to kick off another, which I haven't done in a chunk of time here. So I'm excited too. Well, thank you again. And writers, I just wanted to share some experience that you can hear me talk about novel resolution and hear what's offered in the program, of course, but it's not quite the same as hearing it from other writers who are in the same position that you might be now when they were trying to consider whether this would be a good fit for them or not. I don't think novel resolution is a great fit for every writer. I think novel resolution is a good fit for writers who are willing to put in the work of writing. This is certainly not easy. It's not easy to, do all the accountability check-ins, and it's not easy to show up to write multiple times a week and things like that. But in order to reach those big writing goals that we have to put in the time and put in the work. And these three certainly have done that. So congratulations on all you have accomplished so far. And thank you again for your time and your kind words. So, all right, everybody.
2025.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
All right. Thanks.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, writers. We will talk to you next time.
thank you.